Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Divine Feminine Healers podcast. It is your host, Angelica, the intuitive marketing coach. There's been so many great changes in these past couple weeks. We had Spring Equinox on March 19th in the Northern Hemisphere, and we just had our full moon eclipse Sunday, March 24th, right at 11:59 p.m. This time of year brings around so many changes, and I think it could be so obvious for those who even would consider themselves spiritual. I mean, the definitive shift in seasons from winter and spring alone, we are noticing and we're recognizing, but especially as intuitives or highly sensitive beings, these shifts are so important for us to recognize, to know how to work with these energies. So today is just going to be a full update on all these different energies that are going on right now. How can we navigate eclipses? What can it mean for us? And how can we move through these changes with as much grace and ease as possible? So in Ayurveda, the shift from winter to spring is the shift in doshas, going from Vata to Kapha season. And Kapha rules a lot of the heavier elements and the heavier qualities like earth and water. So that denseness that you may be feeling from winter of wanting to stay in and be all cozy and having warm and grounding and comforting foods, all those desires can still linger as you go into spring, but you may have noticed in your physical body when you linger in that heavy density that it starts to manifest as an imbalance, a kapha imbalance. This could be weight gain, this could be respiratory issues, anything mucus related, especially in the chest, the lungs, and the heart area. You may even just notice that the chest has been feeling more tight. It can be more energetic for you. For kaphas, they tend to hold on to their emotions even more. And it's that time of year is such a good reminder for healers that we're sensitive. We take on a lot of other people's energy and we're not necessarily always cognizant of it. And then we just take it on as our own. And then we realize that we're burnt out or we're exhausted and it feels like our body is failing us. And it's such a helpful reminder during Kapha season that we do need to clear out all that gunk from the winter, all the things that we have collected and picked up on. And there's so many metaphors during this time of year. There's the butterfly and the metamorphosis. There's planting new seeds and letting them germinate before they come into fruition. And so there's needs to be so much patience during this process as you begin to peel away these layers that can feel quite uncomfortable. It feels so scary to shed old behaviors and habits and step into new identities because we've never been in that identity before. There's so much unknown. There's so much to fear. And that's really where I see a lot of this eclipse energy, where it's coming from. So let's get into what the eclipses mean. Now, eclipse season, it starts with the lunar eclipse, which happened on Sunday, March 24th, and it'll bookend with the solar eclipse, which will happen on April 8th. And eclipse cycles are a time to go inward. It's a time not to make any brash decisions or necessarily start fresh new ideas pertaining to the ideas that we get specifically during the eclipse cycle. It's super important that you just take time to find stillness and to go inward. And that's because in eclipse cycles, a lot of times changes can happen quite quickly. They say what happens within a 2 to 4 week period can be the same amount of change that would have happened within 6 months. So tending to your inner landscape is super important so that you can kind of notice and ground down into what's feeling true for you and start to let go of what is not so that you can move through those changes with a little bit more ease. Now, specifically, this first full moon eclipse is landing in Virgo. So this is Vedic astrology. It's a more specific mathematical form of astrology. And Virgo is symbolized by the goddess, very much connected to the earth element and cleansing and purification. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so it has a lot to do with being analytical as well and being very specific and detail oriented. Virgos are known for this. They love to be with detail and they love to be very specific and very clean and cut. I love going to a Virgo's home because they have that like warm, nurturing home, but everything is also like so organized and labeled. So with this Virgo full moon eclipse, there is this inclination to go towards this cleaning things up, getting organized, spring cleaning, just as we're entering Kappa season, just as we have this full moon eclipse in Virgo. It's so crazy how all these messages always align, and it's basically just all saying the same things. I'm so amazed by it. I led quite a few women's circles over this past weekend. My friend had a retreat in Malibu, and I came up and I led a Kundalini session for them. And I also hosted my own full moon ceremony with my friend at her home, which was really special. So, and then Saturday I went to Kirtan in the canyon, which was so potent. It happened right during sunset. And I just, yeah, I've been running on a high from all these being around all these spiritual communities, and especially being around women and light workers who are all, on this path of raising their consciousness and are aware of things like astrology and working with the energies. And a lot of the common themes that healers and highly sensitive beings are feeling is needing to tend to themselves again, to kind of clean up their inner garden. A lot of healers, sometimes they get so ambitious towards building their business, and then they let their own healing journey fall on the wayside, and they forget the self-care, and they forget the boundaries and the things that their body needs to feel fulfilled so that they can keep going and keep being successful. That was a definite theme that came up. And another theme that came up too was boundaries. So if you're someone who is so has a goal set mindset, and Virgo is very almost perfectionist sometimes. Sometimes they could be really harsh on themselves to a fault. And especially when you're working towards a goal, it's like, gosh, I don't want anything to get in my way. I'm willing to do anything for it, maybe even sacrifice my own boundaries and my own body's needs and wants. So if you're feeling that during this eclipse cycle, know that you're not alone. Every person in these different circles that I led this past weekend, we're all experiencing this similar sentiment. And now is the time to get organized and start to build strong boundaries for yourself. Using your body as a navigation tool sets the foundation for everything in your business. It's always something that you can come back to. And as healers, you become so pristine at knowing exactly how to operate this. It's like a manual system that you've learned and experienced throughout your whole entire life. And in just doing that, in just upgrading and shedding away your body, and when I mean body, I just don't mean the physical body, I mean the mental and the emotional and the spiritual body, you start to see everything else in your life upgrade as well. I had a really great talk with a friend of mine, and he's been training for the marathon, and he hasn't done something like this before. And he was just telling me, wow, it's so incredible how running and training my body really hard has truly upgraded everything in my life, from my relationships to my career to my environment and my home. And I love this sentiment because this is something that I believe in wholeheartedly, and that's why I guide women to grow their business by first telling them to come back to their healing journey and using that as the foundation and the soil to guide their business. If you can get super clear in your own body, again, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body, then navigating how to find success in your business, it's the same roadmap. It's the same thing. It infiltrates everything. So I have a few journal prompts here for those who are wanting to take a deeper inquiry for this full moon eclipse. I also have these shared on my Instagram page if you need them repeated. But the first question is, what part of your body, mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual, needs a little spring cleaning? So where can you do a little purification? For some of us, it's definitely the physical body. People will be like, yeah, I know, diet, I gotta clean it up. Maybe it's some eating habits. For others, it's more of the mind. They're realizing, wow, I realize I don't move forward in my business because I psych myself out before I'm going to show up on Instagram and say, no one's going to listen to me. No one wants to hear what I have to hear, or whatever that belief is. Getting behind those beliefs is so huge because they cause certain behaviors that have a different effect on your business. And then, of course, emotionally. Now, what's particular about this full moon as well, it lands in the nakshatra of Hasta nakshatra. And this star sign represents the healer and tending to our physical health. But as we know, our health is just beyond the physical body. It's the mental and the emotional and the spiritual body. So really tending to, okay, what part of my body needs to have this healing needs to have this purification. And there will be more of a pull to clear out the mental and emotional body because this full moon is ruled by Mercury. Hasta is ruled by the moon, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury represents the mind and our mental tendencies, and the moon represents our emotions. So you definitely may feel the inclination to clear these out. So if you feel like during this cycle you have a harsh inner critic voice, a lot of old belief patterns are coming up to the surface, old emotions, feeling that intensity, this is all welcome during this time. It's actually a good thing for you to explore that, to really find what's the wisdom behind that. What is this trying to teach me? How can I transform this? How can I clear this? It's coming up for a reason so that it can be witnessed and seen and cleared and transformed. My follow-up question to that is, how will this affect every other aspect of your life? How will this affect your home life, your environment, and your family when you're able to find clarity in this specific part of your body? And now this question is so, so important. Now, when you can envision this 2.0 version of your life, right? You've done the work, maybe you cleaned up some mindset, you've cleared out old emotions, you're feeling really good in your physical body, and you're starting to see it really take an effect into your relationships, your career, and what happens when you have this all? What is that fear that comes up for you? This is where the work really happens, because this is where your mind is at currently and what is keeping you from having the physical reality that you're envisioning right now. It's this very belief that's holding you back, this very fear. Fear comes up a lot during Kappa season because that is truly what keeps Kappas stuck. Kappas get a bad rap for being unmotivated or lazy, which I don't subscribe to. I think that that is all motivated by fear. The reason why Kappas feel like they don't want to move forward and change is because they're afraid of change. They're afraid of what that identity is going to bring them. Something as simple as like, let's say like, yeah, I know we need to start a movement practice, but I'm truly afraid of what it means to be a runner or what it means to work out every day. Like, what is that fear that you have to get behind? And sometimes that fear is really, I'm afraid of being able to maintain this full potential. Like when I finally have everything, like, can I really trust myself to maintain this level of success? Like, can I trust myself to stay evolved and to continue growing and learning with others? Or do I feel like the rug's going to be pulled out from underneath me and it's going to be taken away? Other times we have this fear of reaching our fullest potential that it's just not possible for us. It's like, yeah, I just don't believe it. I could see other people have it, but I just don't think it's possible for me. I've tried X, Y, and Z before in the past, and it just hasn't worked out for me. I've been working so hard on my business. I've been doing everything, and I'm not seeing the fruit of my labors. Like, I don't think this is meant for me. So whatever that fear is so important to get behind. I know when I was in these community circles, there was that very fear that came up for a lot of people, is that fear of, if I give it my all, what if I fail? What if I actually put all my effort into all these parts of my bodies and all these aspects of my life, but what if it's not, I don't actually get what I want? What if it's just not possible for me? It's a very real fear, and it's something to really explore and to dive deep into. And the last follow-up questions are, what happens if you don't change? And what happens if you do? This is super important. This is where your motivation comes from. What happens if you don't change, and what happens if you do? So take some time for yourself to journal, maybe light a candle, do yourself a little ceremony, and allow these answers to also develop throughout this eclipse cycle. I'll do another energy update when we come across our solar eclipse when we get into April. But during this 2-week period, tend to your spiritual practices. Go to the kirtan, go to a Kundalini class, take Reiki, spend time meditating. Maybe it's a manifestation practice, and take as much time inward as you can. I know for a lot of us who are highly motivated, because I tend to attract a lot of fiery beings in my community, the tendency is to want to go, go, go. And this is the time to not. It is the time to rest. It is time to look inward. That doesn't mean lie like a dead fish and just wait for things to happen to you. It means to take the time to pause and to really reflect and clear what is no longer serving you in your life anymore, so you can create space for the new stuff that you want to bring in. You can't just keep calling in new things and saying, no, it's not enough. I need to be working towards more things and more success. And I need this and I need that. If you're not taking time to pause and reflect on what needs to clear in order to make space for that new thing, you're not going to be able to call it in. And then you're going to burn yourself out. And then you're caught in this cycle of, gosh, I can't get what I want. So take this time to pause, see what you can clear off of your plate, and use it as a reset button. Use it as a time to just feel like you can exhale. Like that feeling after a cleanse is the best feeling in the world. It's like, oh my gosh, I finally feel like I can breathe again. I don't have to think about 5 million things anymore. I'm not carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders anymore. I now have clarity and I know I can move forward in a more simpler, easeful, and yet successful way. It's the best feeling ever. So if you're feeling like you really need to do a little spring cleaning for your body and your business, I'm leading a Kappa Season Masterclass this Thursday on March 28th. It will be recorded, as this episode will debut just the day after it is recorded, but you'll be able to get that recording with the link in the show notes. This is going to be a 1-hour masterclass. I'm going to teach you 6 recommendations for how you can support your body and your business to clear out old energy and create space for new ideas and projects, clients, and creative energy to flow through you during this season and to help to navigate during the eclipse cycle when so many changes are taking place. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how this full moon eclipse energy is feeling for you. You can always send me a direct message at Angelica_feminine_healer. I promise I read them all. And this is part of the reason why I have the podcast, is because I want to hear from you now and I want to talk to you and have an open conversation. So please check me out there on Instagram. I would love to continue the convo. And if you're needing some extra support and doing a little spring cleaning for your body and business, definitely sign up for this Kappa Season Masterclass. Thank you all so much for listening. If you love this podcast, please share it with a family or friend member. That means the world to me. And it means even more the world to me if you could comment, rate, and review on either Apple or Spotify. Please, 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 especially if you listen to just a couple of episodes. I know I listen to so many podcasts too myself, and it helps us out so much, especially for smaller podcasts. So please give me a rating or a review on either Spotify or Apple. Happy spring cleaning. Happy eclipse season, happy Kappa season. You got this. I will be back next week with another update. And for now, you can follow me on Instagram at Angelica_feminine_healer for more wisdom and inspiration.